from Adam to the flood, according to the Septuagint and Eusebius, was 2,242 years after Adam. So from Adam to the flood is 2,242 years of human history. Adam, of course, being born in the Anno Mundi year 1, dies in the Anno Mundi year 930, and he died at the age of 930. So this chart that I've got up here just shows you the Anno Mundi date going from 1 to 2,242. And it shows you what year Seth was born in: Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah. And then the year that they died. Okay? So Adam's creation is Anno Mundi year 1, and from Adam's birth to Noah's birth is 1,642 years. That's a lot of time passing. Now, if you use the Masoretic numbers that the Masoretes provided, from Adam to the flood is about 1,656 years. But the Septuagint says it's almost that long from Adam to Noah. And it's 10 generations. The interesting thing is, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of flood stories from around the world. Flood stories from indigenous peoples, flood stories that existed before any European got a hold of them, which is just fascinating. I'm going to give you copies of all that. But a lot of the peoples in their writings will say there were 10 generations before the flood. Egyptians, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Sumerians all say the same thing. There were 10 generations before the flood, and here the Bible says there are 10 generations from Adam to Noah before the flood. We have no way of knowing how long Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden. There's just no way to know. I can't even speculate. Were they there for 100 years? I don't know. Were they there for a couple days? I don't know. I know this. They didn't have Seth, their third-born son, until he was 230 years old, or 130 with the Masoretic. The fall happened. Of course, everything was perfect in the garden. Yeah? And they had but one thing they weren't supposed to do is eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And when they ate it, they realized they were naked and their eyes were opened. And the differentiation between evil and good came into being for mankind, something they previously didn't understand and didn't need to know at that time. But they knew at that point and looked at each other and freaked out. And of course, God cursed them. The interesting thing is, if you notice in Scripture, in Genesis 3, she gave some to her husband with her. Adam was with her, just standing there, like a passive male. But males aren't passive. I had one guy say, yeah. 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 So Adam was with her. They fell into sin, but God provided a sacrifice. While they clothed themselves with fig leaves, God clothed them with skins, which a lot of people miss that. He clothed them with skins. Well, where are those skins? Did he speak those skins into being, or did some animals have to die? Well, we see with Cain and Abel, and later on, they're sacrificing to God. But they're kicked out of the garden forever, and then Cain and Abel and other daughters, or Cain and Abel and daughters are born to Adam and Eve. Something to note, it says, and he had other sons and daughters, and then he died. So people sometimes wonder, well, who did Cain marry? His sister. So they had other daughters. So among those daughters, Cain married one and went off, but he killed his brother. He killed his brother. This is Cain walking away from his brother's dead body. I found this picture on the internet. I kind of liked it. It kind of shows what he's like. Turns his back on what is correct. He's unrepentant. God says, "Where's your brother?" And just like his father Adam, when he said, "Did you eat of that tree?" and Adam said, "Oh, it was the woman." And he husband.
You gave me. It's your fault.
That's right. So, my dear fellow husbands out there, don't ever blame your wife. As Adam did, right? No, you can when it's fitting. But here, actually, I'm going to shut up now. What am I? I said, what am I going to? Thank goodness Mary Ann's not here. I'd be, skinned alive. But where Adam blame shifted, okay, and Eve blame shifted, and the serpent said nothing because Satan knew exactly what he had done. Cain says, "Am I my brother's keeper?" And when he's, "Hey, I know you killed him," his thing is, he's not said, "Oh, I'm so sorry I killed my brother." He said, "Hey, this is terrible. I'm going to be kicked away from my family, and if anybody finds me, they'll kill me. It's not fair." He's not repentant of what he did. He's still worried about himself. He's going to pass this on to his children and his line. This unrepentant spirit is going to pass on from father to son, and father to daughter, mother to daughter, etc., etc. He has to go and live away from his family, which is east of Eden, and he has to go further east of that, and he dwells in the land of Nod. And that is where the line of Cain begins. Seth is born when Adam is 230 years old. It says that he's a righteous man, and he called on the name of the Lord. And he passes that righteousness on to his children. And I found this nice picture here. I imagine it's being like Seth is there. He's teaching they look happy. You know, a lot more happy than this kind of thing. And so he's passing that on. And the way that Cain is passing on wickedness from generation to generation, Seth is passing on righteousness from generation to generation. But mankind begins to turn through the line of Cain. Mankind is getting more and more evil, and that evil is starting to intermingle with the line of Seth. They become increasingly wicked. The way Josephus puts it, I find fascinating. He says that the next generation was more wicked than the previous. And it was just, if you weren't quick to do evil or to kill somebody who wronged you, then you were worthy of death. So really worth reading what Josephus wrote. I should also add, the Bible mentions like 20 different extra-biblical texts. Josephus had access to those texts. This day, we don't. So when he writes sayings, just understand that he's also reading historical documents in his day. Seth's line began to falter. According to Josephus, Seth's line began to falter around the 7th generation, which I found interesting because Seth died in 1142 Anno Mundi, and so sometime around the 1200s Anno Mundi, that's during Enoch's lifetime, it would fit with what he said, what Josephus said, the 7th generation began to fall. So now we have the righteous line of Seth is becoming wicked like the unrighteous line of Cain. At some point, something really freaky happened. All of the earliest Bible scholars agree, including Josephus and Eusebius and Philo and the early church fathers, that according to Genesis chapter 6, angels of God came and took wives among the beautiful women of earth and had children with them. It's pretty fascinating. The interesting thing in Genesis 6:4, it says, "These are the mighty men of old, the men of renown." Josephus puts it that the children of the angels and women are these mighty men of old, men of renown. And Josephus puts it this way. He said they did the acts that resembled those of mythology, and a lot of mythologies are based off of what happened with this offspring. It's weird, okay? It's weird. We also see Peter making reference to it. We also see Jude making reference to it. It sounds like this thing really happened. I cannot explain it to you. But I can tell you there's an alternative to the fanciful story about angels and women coming together to have children. Some people say, no, it's the righteous line of Seth is intermingling with the unrighteous line of Cain. That's a possibility too. But it says that it's the sons of God are coming to take wives among the daughters of men. And the sons of God, the B'nai Elohim is the Hebrew phrase, is always used of angels when it's used in that sense. And so it's the same as it's used in the sons of God came to gather before God's throne in the book of Job.
So that tells us that angels are a physical, not just a spiritual, but a physical being.
I don't know if it tells us that, or maybe the angels possessed men and did that. It's so weird, I cannot put my finger on it. But we do know that angels have a physical manifestation. But the nature of their being seems more spiritual. So they're ministering spirits.
The Bible commentary from the VTS says that
the Bible knowledge, yeah.
It says the angels didn't involve with the men through them than had the women.
Yeah. So, the Bible knowledge commentary says that it was what I just said. The angels possessed men.
It's kind of like demon possession.
Yeah.
Were the angels of God good?
No, they're bad. Actually, the Hebrew calls them the Nephilim, the fallen ones.
Okay, they're fallen angels.
Yeah, fallen angels. Yeah, they're not good guys.
By the way,
but they're still sons of God.
Sure, God created them.
By the way, angels sinned before Adam and Eve did.
That's right.
Yeah.
Are these demons under Satan then?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would think so. Either that or it was... there's a lot of speculation with this. And a lot of conspiracy theories about this. But coming to a conclusion on it, I don't think we have enough information, unfortunately. People will write books on angels and all sorts of stories, your guardian angel and all these different things. Man, we have hardly any info on them. Right. But the info we have is this. John, the Apostle John bows down to the angel twice. And the angel says, "Get up, worship God. I'm your fellow servant. I'm a fellow servant alongside you." Angels have their job to do. We have our job to do.
There may be a principle because Satan used the serpent.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, there you go. He was possessed.
And the problem, as someone has said, it's not the apple in the tree, it was the pear on the ground.
The problem is not the apple on the tree, it's the pear on the ground. That's good.
Okay, so if it weren't for the flood, we could do a DNA test on people and figure out if they've got some of these genes from these angels, right?
Well, if it was possessed humans, you wouldn't find anything. Whatever it is, mankind became exceedingly corrupt, is the big problem here. These people are far worse than the Canaanites because their corruption has spread to the whole world. Let me explain something, okay? You know that the law that is given to Israel, one of the things that's said over and over and over again, don't do these things because these are the things they were doing in the land before you. Don't do them.
Yes.
That's why God is saying, bestiality, for example, is what the Canaanites were doing. That's why God said, when you go and destroy that city, kill the animals as well.
Yeah.
Don't take those animals. Those animals have been trained to do certain things that you don't want in your group at all. So kill them all. Kill the people, kill the animals. Burn everything. Okay? God is going to destroy these people with a flood. And you know what else He's going to destroy? The animals.
Right.
That's the other thing He says. He's going to destroy them all. So when, a lot of people say, how bad could those people have been? And they have the pictures of them. Oh, please let me on the ark. Please. These people are exceedingly wicked beyond our understanding. This earth, the people on this earth right now are not as wicked as these people were. God Himself, He didn't send the Israelites to exact judgment. He didn't send Babylon to exact judgment. He Himself destroys the earth because of how wicked these people are. Their violence. It's pretty fascinating.
And these were the offspring from these.
And mankind in general. Not just the offspring, not just the offspring of these angels and women, but Mankind, period. Now, think of it this way. If it is demon possession, or if it's just angels, or whatever it is, they are teaching false doctrine to everybody, and these are mighty men. The Greek says they're the gigantes, the giants. Gigantes. And there's a whole Greek mythology built around the giants, fighting against these titans, fighting against the gods. But these men have a powerful influence over the whole world and are plunging them all into sin. Josephus says Noah implored them not to live this way, but he feared for his own life and went away from them. It's fascinating.